everybody, it's Beth and
Daniel.
And we are going to tell you guys a little story about a guy that we don't know.
Let's just say his name was
Make my wish come true.
Bruce.
Okay, we'll go with Bruce. We gotta change the names, for like confidentiality.
Okay, so Bruce.
You just cut me off.
You were finished. Okay, Bruce was, he really loved God a whole lot, and he made it a point to just pray all the time, like during the day.
He was like one of those young guys who's like always in the Word, always like at the front sanctuary when the pastor's preaching with his Bible open, amen, preach, bishop, that type stuff, But he was like really devoted, like he truly loved God.
Yeah, a little weird to most people, but
But he was close to God.
He was genuine though.
Yeah.
He was genuine.
For sure.
So Bruce is working at this company, well, not just any company, he's working at this zoo. That has all types of animals and everything.
As zoos do.
Right. And snacks. And Bruce is working at this place. He got a job. And this place, because of, the intense work that they have to do, like cleaning up behind animals and, making sure the animals are straight, all these exotic creatures and everything. They got multiple breaks a day. They got like 3 or 4 breaks per day. So what Bruce would do, Bruce made it a point that he was going to pray during each break that they got, including lunchtime.
But his boss, the owner of the zoo, was an atheist, and he did not believe in praying, and he did not let anybody do anything religious on the premises of the zoo, of the employees. So he was just one of those people that's just like, I don't believe in any of this, and I don't want it happening at my zoo. Absolutely not. Or you're fired.
So things kind of changed when Bruce got hired. What's the guy's name that owns the zoo?
His name is Carl.
Okay, Carl, the atheist. He owns this zoo, but when he met Bruce, he kind of had a change of heart. He still wasn't necessarily converted, but he respected in a way what Bruce would do. So Carl had different laws and different things, not laws, but like rules about break time that were just kind of things that were written in, such as, you can't pray, even if you're on the break, you're still on business time. So you can't do anything religious like pray during that time, even if it's privately, even if you're going off into the break room where no one's at and praying. And Carl just had a strict rule against.
And Bruce would be like taking his Bible out and like studying it too. Like he just really loved to be in the Word and like to pray to God. So that's what he would be doing. And
he wasn't bothering anybody. And Carl actually, like I said, he started to be a little bit more open to like God and stuff because he saw that.
Low-key.
Yeah, this guy Bruce.
Don't say that. Wait, redo it. Redo it.
So this guy Bruce, he just saw that he was really genuine, and so he wasn't necessarily mad or anything at him praying during his break time. But there was a certain person who was the keeper of the lions.
The zookeeper.
So he's under.
Fred was the zookeeper.
You got Fred, who's under Carl.
Carl owns the zoo.
And Fred Carl made the rules, but Fred
runs the zoo.
Yeah, and he really likes to suck up to Carl and, try to make Carl seem like, like really kind of.
He wants to impress his boss.
Right.
And also, Fred also had a complex with like the other people at the zoo with like his authority, and like people didn't really like respect him for real. Cause like Fred was kind of like a weird guy too, and so people didn't really like the other people that worked there. They didn't really respect him that much, and so
Fred's like a teacher's pet. He wants to use his position to have authority over people and push everything. So this is what happens. Fred goes to Carl and says, "Look," and he pretty much snitches, and Carl already knows that Bruce prays during his break time. But he was okay with it because, at the end of the day. And so Carl says, all right, well, look, next time we'll send out a notice just reminding employees that they can't be religious or pray and do that type of stuff during break time. And, you know, if anyone breaks the rules after that, then, you know, they'll be terminated or we'll fire them or...
He's trying to appease Carl.
Yeah, because he's like, okay,
he's like,
yeah,
you know.
I didn't make the rules. And, you know, not only that, but you got the fact that, not Carl, but what was his name? Larry? Fred.
Okay,
so
where are we at in this?
So Fred pretty much is coming to Carl because Carl already just kind of, you know, he makes the rules, but Fred talks about how they need to enforce the rules and everything. So Carl's like, okay, you know, that's what they'll do. That next time someone breaks that rule, that they'll be terminated. So basically, Bruce is, you know, he gets the notice, but he's just like, you know what, this is a non-negotiable for me. You know, I'm not bothering anybody. I'm still gonna pray in the break room and different things like that. I'm not bothering anybody.
Period.
And so now realize that Fred, realized that Fred is really spying on Bruce now. He put up cameras to catch him praying. So he has the footage on camera of Bruce praying even after they sent the notice out, and he goes to Carl and shows him this footage. So what happens the next day, Carl...
You need to think of your thought before you say it, because you're talking really slow and you're taking a lot of weird pauses. You're like, so,
Why you sound like your brother? So the next day, Carl gets notified of what Bruce is doing, and he says, okay, I'm gonna take care of it, this, and that. And Fred doesn't really feel like he's gonna move on it quickly or whatever. So Fred is tending to the lion exhibit at the zoo, and you know, he's upset that he doesn't feel like the boss is taking measures to discipline Bruce. So Bethany's going to tell you basically what Fred, as the zookeeper, decides to do to Bruce to teach him a lesson about breaking company policy.
Okay, pause. I just wanted to give that look at the camera. So Fred, being Fred, decides, you know what? I'm gonna call up Bruce. Because you're talking really slow and you're taking a lot of weird pauses. You're like, oh, Bruce. Fred calls up Bruce and says, Bruce, I need you to come tend to the lions right now. Get in here to the lion enclosure and help me tend to the lions. So basically, we have this on camera. This literally actually happened. He called Bruce in there, and then Fred shuts the door behind Bruce and locks him in with the lions. Now, what you don't know, the backstory is that the lions and Bruce are not acclimated. He doesn't usually work with the lions, so they don't really know him.
And Fred also decided not to feed the lions.
He didn't feed the lions on purpose.
On purpose.
So he's like, we're gonna teach that Bruce a lesson on what he can and can't do praying in my zoo. And he locks him in there. Not only does he lock him in there, but he leaves him in there after the zoo is closed all night. What do you think hungry lions are? What do you think hungry lions are? You know what? You know what? What do you think hungry lions are gonna do with a piece of meat of a man named Bruce in their habitat all night? I'll tell you what they're gonna do.
So pretty much the lions are like, you know, they go all, Finding Nemo mode, and they're like,
Bruce is a friend, not food.
And they just decide that they're not going to eat him for whatever reason.
We still don't know why. Well, we do know. We'll get to that.
Yeah, so pretty much the next day, Carl finds out what Fred did, as a punishment. And he goes running to check and see if Bruce is okay, because obviously he should have been eaten.
Carl is like, I know I'm gonna have a lawsuit on my hands because I already know that Bruce is dead. Yeah. He's like, he's done. He was in there with lions all night. How could Fred do this to me in my zoo? Like, I didn't tell him to do that, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And he's like freaking out because he's just pissed.
So he goes to the lion exhibit and he looks in and he sees Bruce, and the lions are all
chilling.
They're chilling like kittens. And he's in there like kind of petting them and different things like that. And he lets them out of the enclosure. And he asked Bruce kind of like, what happened. And Bruce said, the guy that I pray to during my breaks, he protected me from the lions. And so, of course, everyone is mad at Fred at this point.
Because it was just cruel.
Right.
An unusual punishment.
Right.
For praying.
So Carl threw Fred into the lions, and the lions ate him.
That's not what happened.
Okay, that's not what happened. Okay.
That is not what happened.
Fred got fired.
Fred got fired.
But before he got fired, he was assigned to clean up.
We're gonna pick a punishment. Pause. We're gonna pick a punishment. We're not just gonna, but he was fired, but before that he had to clean elephant poo. So, okay, Fred did not get thrown in with the lions. However, first thing that Carl did with Fred is he put him on elephant poop duty. But we're not just gonna, but he was fired, but before that he had to clean elephant poop. Meaning, he was like, you're gonna clean up elephant poop for the next month. And then Carl was just like, that's just not good enough, you're fired. So he cleaned up elephant poop for a month, and then, he still just got fired after that. So.
And guess who became appointed the new zookeeper?
Can you guess? Let's say it together.
Larry.
Bruce.
Okay, so Bruce got put in as the new zookeeper. Yeah. And Bruce, still prayed during his break time. And the cool thing about it is that Carl started getting Bruce to pray for him, where before he was an atheist. And so the moral of the story is...
The moral of the story is that when you're faithful to God, He's faithful to you, and He will protect you no matter what, even if you are in a, den of lions. And on top of that...
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid! Guys, that's so good. You know what? Look who I married.
It's not even...
They're just so good. Oh. Do you get it? Like Fred, don't be afraid.
No, don't.
Like, don't be afraid, but don't be afraid.
No, that's not what I was... That's not...
You weren't doing a pun?
No, I was not. Don't be afraid.
You just mean literally a Fred?
Yeah, the Fred in the story. Don't be a snitch and don't be annoying like Fred was.
Right.
Because in life, you'll end up cleaning up elephant poop and you'll get fired.
No, that is true. Don't be a snitch, because snitches get stitches. But I wasn't saying that. I was saying, like, don't be afraid.
I was talking about the Fred in the story.
Don't be a Fred in the story, and don't be afraid of the lions.
It's a stretch.
That was such a good
stretch.
Whatever. It's currently 3 a.m., so there's that. Moral of the story, like we said, don't be a Fred. Don't be a snitch, and be faithful to God, and He'll be faithful to you no matter what people try to say or tell you to do. Just continue to follow His word and His steps for life, and you will come out on top as winner. Amen, Pastor.
Amen. My lips ashy that whole entire time?
No, you were licking.
I think they were. I just licked them.
No, you were licking the whole time. You were like, you kept being like, so you kept like licking them the whole time.
Is Ariana editing this?
Yeah. She's gonna keep zooming into your lips just because she said that. Wait, let's say bye.
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 Bye.